Welcome, 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 ladies and gentlemen, to another installment of Big Board Battles! Today we have a very exciting game for you. Very fun. Undying Dynasties versus Beastherds. I'll be playing the Undying Dynasties. And my opponent shall be the nefarious Beastherds. Dun dun dun. Now this is a practice game for the Colorado tournament we got coming up. The GT Mayhem in the Mountains. It's on October's 8th and 9th, I believe. And it's going to be in Colorado. So I'm excited. I get to go to Colorado. That's fun. And play a bunch of people I don't usually get to play. And I'm excited. So I'm bringing the Undying Dynasties to this matchup. I just feel my list is more refined with this army. And I have a better chance of doing well. Plus, most of it's already painted. And that was a big factor in my decision too. I'm trying a little bit different list than I normally do. Just a few tweaks here and there. But this is a list I'll be bringing to the tournament. And I like it. I'm comfortable with it. And I hope I'll do very well. But we'll see. My opponent's very good. And I always have to keep on my toes with this guy. And here we go. This is deployment. My finger got in the way a little bit there. But as you can see, he has a bunch of gargoyles, some centaurs on the flanks, 3 or 4 chariots. 2 of them are level 1 shadow wizards. So he's got Pestilence Miasma with both of those. He's got 2 Gortoks, I believe they're called. Just toughness 6 frenzy monsters. They're tough. And he's also got 2 ambushing units of wild horns, which are on the table over there, and 1 ambushing... No, that's it. 2 ambushing units of wild horns. And he has 1 group of like 30 strong longhorns, where he's got great weapons on them, and a BSB, and his generals in that unit. And it's a scary unit. I don't wanna mess with it too much. I'm taking 3 strong unit of Winged Reapers. They got autonomous and paired weapons. I have 2 units of snakes with banners. I have a unit of 6 Shabtis in the center there, 3 chariots, and 2 kitties. Exciting. My bunkers are 2 12 strong units of archers. I also have a casket over there on the side. And I have 2 level 2 wizards, 1 with a Dispel Scroll, 1 with Tomb of Arcane Lore. And we have my Tomb Architect General, who is just a Tomb Architect General, about 50 points. I take him so I can give regen to one of my units, and also Shabti's Core is amazing. Also, even a unit of 5 Horse Archers that aren't scouting or nothing. I just chose to deploy them normally. And that's my army. I have 3 units of sand scorpions that are ambushing from underneath the ground. And it's my first time running with these guys. But I'm hoping, they're strength 5, toughness 5, 4 attacks. So they're more of a threat than most chaff, but they can still kind of get in the way. They're not as chaffy as vultures. In other words, they're not as reliable, and they don't have fly and things like that. But they are tougher, and they are more of a threat to bunkers and chariots and individual characters and the like. So we'll see how it goes. It's we decided to do a scenario this time. It's hold the center, so the center portion of the board, whoever has the most scoring units at the end of the game will actually get a bonus 3 victory points, and the opponent will lose 3 victory points. So this is it. I dropped most of my army first after we went back and forth a little bit with some small units, and so I elected to go second for a variety of reasons. The main one being that he could not ambush on the first turn if he goes first, and also I'll get the last chance to just jump on the center point, or at least contest it if I need to. So top turn 1, he zooms across with his centaurs. They vanguarded up. That wasn't shown in the previous picture. He moves up with his chariot, Gortoks, Longhorn herd triple marches because they got the icon of relentless marching. The chariot's just positioned to just be annoying, and yeah, his chaff kind of runs up in the way there to kind of keep me from charging or getting a better position in there. Um, yeah, so we'll see what happens. He goes to magic and he gets a hex off on both of my archer groups, but I only got a picture of this one. And the shouting miasmas the ballista skill down on both of those, so they're pretty much useless for shooting. I think I need 7s on both or something like that. He does some other shooting. Nothing really happens. We go to my turn. Now, I elect to charge with the chariots into the flank of those gargoyles you saw earlier. He elects to flee. So I test a redirect. I make it. And I notice that his chariot's just kind of sitting there, and I got like a direct line of sight. We measure the range, and it's 18 inches. It's a long charge. I need a 10 on 3d6. But you know what? I figure if I make it, I'll slam into this chariot there. I'll be able to overrun probably into those gargoyles, and I'll be behind his lines. And so I elect to try to make that. Now, he hems and haws for a bit, and he knows he doesn't want this to happen. He knows it's a very bad thing if I am able to kill this chariot and get behind his lines and threaten flanks and threaten rears. But it's a 10-inch charge, and he doesn't want to run, get out of position, cause some panics of various kinds, things like that. So he decides to hold. I roll it, I make it on a 10, and I get in there. So that's a great thing. There were no other charges. I do some different positionings. I know his ambushers, his wild horns are coming on. Next turn, he's got that ability that allows him to reroll if they fail, so they're almost certain to come on. I march up with one of my kitties to flame breath these centaurs, and hopefully cause a panic, get them to run away. We'll see. I have my regen on my snakes at this point, because those chariots, I know they're either going to charge my snakes or my shopties. I figure my shopties are more killy, and I don't know, it was just a judgment call. I'm not sure if it was right or not. Again, just several positioning. I back up with my snakes a bit, and that is what happens. And there's a better picture of that charge. It's a great charge. Is very happy with it. Now, the risk is if I can't break him or kill him, his Gortok's got an easy flank charge. But even then, those guys are only 135 points. And so they're not... I won't be super sad if I lose them. Flame Breath kills 3 centaurs, but he passes his leadership check, and they're still there. So, I mean, it is what it is. In combat, I crush the enemy chariot. I do take a wound for my troubles, and then I overrun into the unit of gargoyles. So I'm going to kill that unit of chaff too, almost certainly. So I'm very excited about that. Top of 2, he does some more positioning. I don't think there was any charges, but as you can see, 2 of his ambushing units come onto the table. Oh, he does do the charges. In the center of the board, you can see 2 of his chariots slamming into the Shopti group. Nothing I can really do about that. Hope he rolls those for impact hits, pretty much, is what I got to do. He was just able to fit his wild horns there in between my horse archers and my my bunker with my architect general in it. So that's kind of annoying, but it is what is. His other unit of wild horns comes over to the side there to kind of support that area of combat, because that's going to be a very important sector. That's where a lot of his strength lies. I did get drawn off with two of my really good units, my Winged Reapers and my one of my kitties over to the side, where all he has is a chariot behind the building left there. And so he did a very good job of getting me out of position there. But my snakes, I'm not like they're there to excuse me. They are there to claim that center point come turn 6. So they're exactly where they need to be. The Shabtis are there to actually add some oomph to that and make sure I have the most banners there. And we'll see what happens. So we go to magic, nothing happens really, and he does get some impacts off, but he rolls fairly low, and I only lose 5 wounds, but I wipe him out with my attacks. Yeah, 4 attacks per Shabti from the front rank with these paired weapons at strength 5 is very, very good. I finish off his gargoyles, and the picture doesn't show it, but I do turn to face the other side of the board towards me. And we go to my turn 2. I charge with my Shabti over to the right of the screen, or not the Shabti, the kitty to the right of the screen. I charge those centaurs, I just want them out. They were able to plink a wound onto my Winged Reapers, so that was annoying, but it's not terribly bad. I move my horse archers up to chaff up the what's it called, the longhorns with the great weapons, and I figure, just buy me a turn, basically, maybe redirect them if I can, and I turn my kitty and go and just basically block any charges his wild horns have, and I'm very confident that my kitty can take any wild horns that he might have to face. I do manage to get my scorpions up. I believe 2 come out. 1 scatters off, so he cannot be placed, so he unfortunately isn't able to be placed and has to wait till next turn. But 1 does come up and scatters onto his wizard chariot. I believe that's his wizard chariot at least. And so I'm kind of happy, kind of not about that. I really wanted him to be more of a chaff roll, but again, it's not 100% necessary right now for me. I did make a mistake here in not moving my Winged Reapers. I should have been bringing them up more just to support. Again, they're autonomous, so they can march even out of my general's range. So it was a mistake not to. I repositioned my snakes. My snakes have Lethal Strike and Poison. Lethal Strike on top, Poison on the bottom, so I'm not terribly scared of his Gortox charging them. I'll lose some guys, but I have enough strength 5 and enough oomph to do some wounds back, So it is what it is. And on my turn, I believe I got a spell off. Oh yeah, the bouncing judgment, and I was able to clear out one of his units of centaurs. So that was nice. But nothing else happens. I do eat his centaurs, and he goes to top of 3. He moves up his Gortok to just basically get in my way. He charges my kitty. He charges the horse archers with the Gortok and the Longhorn herd, and he has to maximize, but he charges with his Gortok first, I believe. And so he gets in with his Longhorns in such a way that I have to close the door to him. Or anyway, this is where it ends up. And the issue is he's going to be able to overrun into my snakes, and that's what I did not want to happen. But at this point, there is nothing I can do to stop it. It just is what it is. And so he moves up with his wild horns. He charges his wild horns into the side of my... You can't see it in this picture, but my scorpion's there fighting for its life. And so he's going to die just from static combat res, but I'm going to try to kill that chariot before I do. We'll see if that happens. There's a better picture of the charges over here. Once again, like, yeah, I'm just... He does move over his winged gargoyles over there, so he has line of sight on my casket. So I kind of figure that's what's coming there. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to kill my casket, but hopefully not. I don't want that thing exploding. During combat, my kitty gets a 11 on his breath weapon. He doesn't take any wounds, I believe. He might take one. But he just, between stomps, breath, 11, strength, 4 hits, breath weapon, and the normal attacks, I break his unit. Like, I kill about 18 models. So he is no longer steadfast. He breaks, and he just didn't want to remove the models, so we just had it run. He runs through and takes some difficult terrain tests, and he has like maybe 4 models left in that whole unit, I believe is what it was. And so that went very well for me. Over here, I do not kill his wizard or chariot. Yeah, his wizard chariot. So that's sad. And my snake or my scorpion pops. And he does kill my horse archers easy, and he overruns. He fails his overrun with the Gortok. But the Longhorns do get in there, and I'm like, well, damn. What can you do? So, bottom of 3, this is what I can do. I charge his Gortok in the center there with my Shabtis. I move up my Winged Reapers, and they're a little too far behind to do much at this point, but maybe, depending, I can get them in a position maybe by turn 5 or 6 to make a difference. I charge with my chariots, but I fail his Gortok. I needed 9 inches, and I just didn't get it, so I move forward 3. It wasn't terrible. My sand scorpions come up. One I get exactly where I want him, right behind the snakes. Again, just as a roadblock, just to give me some time. I pop my Hierophant out of that unit there, because I know what's coming. And my other sand scorpion pops up, and it's kind of behind the Gortok, and I'm facing both the chariots and also the rear of the Gortok that didn't quite get into my snakes. And so I have some options there. It's not ideal if I have to charge into the Gortok, but at strength 5 I will if I have to, if that makes sense. But okay, so this combat, it went good and bad. He killed my snakes, and they popped from just combat res. But I was able to kill 4 models and his BSB. I used 2 of my snakes that were in contact with his BSB just to pour all their attacks in it. And between poisons and lethal strikes, I was able to kill it. And so that was exciting. He has no more BSB. But, again, he just ate my unit. So, unfortunate, but what it is what it is. And he overruns, but he doesn't quite get to my sand scorpion. So that's exciting. And here we go. The Gortok and Shabti battle went fairly well. I lost another model, 3 wounds, but I do 3 wounds back. I win by 1. He stays. And it's his turn, so he charges my scorpion. He charges my Sphinx. He charges my other scorpion with his chariot, and he charges my casket with his gargoyles. So there's a lot going on in here, and I really want to... he did get -1 to my weapon skill and initiative off on my Shabtis in the center, but that's going to go away this turn. Hopefully he doesn't do it again, but we'll see. I'm liking where his unit of Longhorns that is down to 3 models. It looks like there are more. They continue to run. And, yeah, here we go. I'm hoping my Shabti doesn't break or doesn't die simply because he might nick my Hierophant in the overrun, and I don't want that to happen because yeah, I have my other sand wizard that's in relative safety right now, but I'll take a turn of crumbles, and if I roll poorly, it could really be bad. So we'll see. Hopefully it goes well. But here's a better picture of those charges right there. Better picture of that charge there, and that charge there. Okay, so I'm able to win both of the combats with the Chariot and the Gortok. He doesn't get any more spells off on me, so my Shopties go first, and they're able to put the last couple wounds that they need. And so they just position to face the side of that Gortok to charge in if my Sphinx can hold out and needs help. My Scorpion up there took some wounds from the impacts, but other than that, he was able to kill the Wizard Chariot no problem. Put the last 2 wounds on it. And so he just kind of repositions to face the other Chariot and probably charge him on my turn. And over here, this is what happens with the the Sphinx combat. He does 3 wounds, I believe, and I do a couple wounds back. But he wins by 2. I ignore the first, so I take another wound from combat. From crumbling. He just straight up murders my my Scorpion and just overruns into my bunker of archers there that is no longer a bunker, so that's okay. But what he does do it's frustrating. He kills my casket, and my casket explodes, and I do some wounds here and there to various parties, mostly my own. That I don't know if you can see it just from the coloring angle on this, but the gargoyles he has took 3 wounds from my casket in combat, but again he was just able to pour enough wounds, and yeah, the 5-up ward save, but wasn't enough, and he popped it. So sad day. And here we go, my turn. I charge in with my Shopties. Pretty confident about that. I charge the Chariot with my Scorpion. Confident about that. But that's about all I'm confident about. I just move up my Winged Reapers again if they can be of use, they will be. I march. I'm within my march bubble range, so I march. My Hierophant just gets out of there just in case he wants to charge with his gargoyles or what have you, and just make it a little harder for him to single out my Hierophant there. And there we go. And combat happens. I'm able to kill his Gortok, but the Gortok does do the last wound to the Sphinx, so that's sad. Now here's what happened. We had a couple observers at the game, and I decided to do the Longhorn versus Skeletal Archers first. And they thought that was a mistake, simply because if I did the Sphinx Shabti Gortok first, I was in a good position to overrun with my Shabtis and hit the flank of his Longhorns. And that's good. The only issue with that is he was facing 10 Skeletal Archers, which he was just going to get 10 combat res right there. I would have crumbled. I feel I would have crumbled, and yeah, I would have grinded down this unit even more. But I don't know. Maybe it was a mistake. But this is what I chose to do. That's what I did. But I do overrun, and I do hit his front there. And so I'm gonna have to dispel some stuff on his turn, I feel. And top of 5, He does try to charge my Hierophant, but he fails. Now he only goes forward 4 inches, which means he would have been in the middle of his own unit. And so we looked it up briefly, but we couldn't find it immediately. And we decided that it would just stop an inch out instead of popping out an inch from, if you know what I mean. Instead of going through the unit more and just popping out an inch past the unit, he would stop an inch before he entered the unit. And that's what we called it. Whether that's right or not, I'm not sure. If you know the answer, please leave a comment and a reference to the page in the rules that states it, because we couldn't find it in the brief time we looked for it. His Wild Horns race up to try to contest the center point, at least, on his turn 6. And his Wild Horn unit on the bottom keeps running, and they're almost off the board at that point. And his Wizard Chariot kind of just pops out, so you can have some line of sight and maybe a rear charge on my Sphinx. I'd be glad if he charged anything with that Chariot at this point, because I'll just get the points for the Wizard straight up, I feel. And yeah, there we go. So his turn, he doesn't take off the models, but I just mulch a bunch of his Longhorns, but he's able to do enough back to pop me from combat res. Is what is. So I do charge his Wild Horns with my Chariot. Now he didn't realize that I had line of sight, and it would have been a flank charge. So instead of risking the unit, he decides to flee. And he goes pretty far. He goes 10 inches. I don't catch him, obviously, so I just kind of go up. And I have my Winged Reapers and my Snakes just kind of staring down that center. I do also get off Shifting Sands on his Longhorn unit and give them minus D3 to the movement, and also have their difficult terrain of 2. So he's going to get the turn next. He won't be able to get within contesting range, and I'm happy just to have it as is with no other combats, simply because the points are fairly close, but I'll be able to get the bonus objective, which is an extra 3 victory points. So we'll see. Yeah, that's the end of game. His top of 6, he decides not to. He just backs up with everything he can. His Wild Horns rally. Yeah, this is what it ends up being. I did kill about 500 and something more points than he did. And again, it's just a rough estimate. This wasn't a serious game, so we didn't go through point by point. But just from looking at the slides at the end of the game, and what I had left versus what he had left, I just did my best estimate here on the score. It would have been a 13-7 just on the points alone, but because I got the bonus objective, it became a 16-4, which is a solid victory. It was a fun game. There's some mistakes made by my opponent, and there's some lucky rolls made by me. But you know what? All in all, a great game. And I'm doing this new segment now, and I hope you guys like it. It's the Match MVP, where the MVP of the match gets to meet our Lord and Savior Gorebeast on his throne and be blessed by him for future generations. And the Chariots were my match MVP. They were able to keep the center from being contested by the Wild Horns at the end by their charge, and they were able to kill a Chariot and Chaff just by themselves, getting in his rear arc of his army on turn 2, and all game it was a threat to him all game, and they were able to really do a lot, and I'm very proud of them, and they did a very good job. Hey, thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope you enjoyed the report, and subscribe, like us, leave some comments, tell us what a great job we're doing. fishing for compliments. Anyway, thanks guys. Bye-bye.